Hey guys, it's Nicole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. You can support this podcast by subscribing, leaving a positive review, and screenshot and sharing on social media. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, author of the book Rock Your Soul, The Down-to-Earth Guide to Mastering Your Mind and Intuitive Therapist. And we're back with another guest episode with Heather Maio. If you don't know Heather, you need to. She is a self-optimization facilitator, two-time gym owner, and host of the Magic Mindset podcast. So make sure you check her out over there. Today's conversation was so fascinating to me. We were talking about rules of manifesting. What are the rules that you live by? Do they work for you? Is manifesting toxic? That's a big question we answer today. And how to create awareness to create space in your life to receive the things you desire. You're going to want to listen up. Make sure to like and subscribe this podcast as well as leaving a review. We really, really appreciate it.
Let's just check in. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm like into March. I think March is sexy.
Yes, the energy is so much better than we've had in the last 2 months of this year. Like now I'm like, okay, this is good. We're going places. We are seeing things. Things are happening.
I think it's a little bizarre. I will say that. So people have had some like oddities show up or like just odd events or things like that. So I'm not going to like discount the collective is a little weird right now,
yeah.
but in a energetic sense in our hemisphere, there's so much moving forward energy. And I think that like when I think of moving forward energy, I think like get on your manifestations because this energy is the energy you want to amplify in. Like that's how it feels for me anyway.
Yes, very much so. And I agree. There is some like funky, and I'm just talking like personally, because there's a lot going on right now, obviously in the collective. I'm talking about in my little world and what I am seeing with clients. There's some funky things going on and it does feel very like shaky and kind of uncertain and unsteady personally. However, it feels purposeful, if that makes sense. Like it feels like, okay, things are kind of coming apart right now, but it's for a reason. That's kind of the energy. Like I feel like still kind of, okay, buckle up, seatbelts on, airbags, everything like that, but we're going to get there.
Yeah. And I think it's like so purposeful because I know like I've definitely felt tested on my trust lately, of things are like working out. And then that thing that was working out is kind of still working out, but it's kind of, there's a challenge that I really need to trust it. I'm just finding like this challenge. So one of the things that like we had a back and forth on, a couple of days ago was there was a post you shared and in the post somebody was talking about like now's not the time to manifest or was talking about like there's times to manifest, there's times not to manifest, and I was like that feels like bullshit to me.
Yeah.
Because I think that any thought is a creative thought. Any thought is a creative thought. So I think there's a difference between intentionally, purposefully sitting down, creating space and time to pour energy into manifestation, but you're constantly creating with your thoughts. So we were talking about, okay, so what are the rules?
Yeah.
what are the rules to manifestation and why do we all have them different?
Yeah. In what is right. And you made the comparison in that conversation, which I love. And the nutrition part of me just like geeked out over because it's so true. It's the same as dieting. Maybe what is good for me is not good for you and vice versa. And it really, to me, that just like was such an aha moment, and it makes perfectly good sense just because we are all so energetically different and on different planes and dealing with different things and going different places. Like, how could there be one overarching rule of when we should and shouldn't be doing things and what they should and shouldn't look like? Like, obviously, it's going to be bullshit on some levels.
I think it's tricky because I know like I have a lot of clients who are or perfectionists. They want to do it right, and they want to, in some cases, make the universe happy or live their full potential. And so it's so easy to get caught in other people's rules.
Yeah.
Not just for how to live your life, but how to get the most out of manifesting, spirituality, connecting the right way with the spirituality. I remember like a long time ago when I started meditating, and I felt like I needed to do it the way this book I read did it. It was very specific. He had to sit a certain way so the energy could flow the right way. And at some point I realized that meditating was just being like present in the moment, and aware of your presence in the moment without being in a future or past thought. Like that's it. And you can do it when you're running, you can do it when you're working out, you can do it during sex. Like you can be in a meditative state in so many more situations that don't involve you to cross your legs and hold your fingers a certain position.
Yes.
And it's easier,
Oh yeah. And I feel like, I mean, on both levels, I certainly was guilty of this in the beginning of my, for lack of a better term, spiritual journey. Like the need for perfectionism around those type of things is actually what's blocking us from receiving the thing we're going after. Like it just creates this barrier of, I'm not doing this right. This isn't going to work out. Where's the problem? And it just like allows these spirals to go in different ways. And you're right. Meditation is the same thing. Like we sit there and like, I'm thinking about my target list, what I want to do at the gym today, like yada, yada, yada. I'm like, oh no, wait, I suck at meditating. No, actually this is like what meditating looks like for most people. Most of the time it's just showing up,
And it's just it's a process of learning what works for you. I was actually saying to somebody before I did sessions, I would have kind of a ritual of keeping my energy open, and I would do a little meditation, and I would feel like I couldn't do those things unless, I couldn't have a good session with somebody unless I was totally like clear and present and ready. And at some point I was able to shift out of that of like, no, I am just like a divine being and I'm always ready. Like I'm always ready. The information's always there. The words are always there. The inspiration's always there. I always know the next right thing to say. And so it's become a part, and I would encourage anybody who's listening to this, of, is the way that you learn to do things helpful, or is it creating resistance to feeling good, to reaching a higher vibration, to connecting with your intuition? Like if you're feeling heavy while doing any of the things that are supposed to be helpful, or you're thinking too hard, it's not the one for you.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Because there's 1,000 other different ways to approach it.
And like we were talking about, like maybe that felt true for you, of like, now's not the time to, intentionally manifest. And for me, I'm like, oh, this is the way I see it. And so it's really about like the whole process of manifesting, and the whole process of spirituality is learning how to trust yourself.
Yes.
Learning how to come within and say, does this work for me? Does this practice really feel good and juicy and divine to me? Or is it feel like I'm just forcing it? 'Cause if you're forcing it, it's just not the right one. I had a lot of people who would like, I meditate every day, and, okay, so what does your meditation look like? Well, it means I sit there and then all these things run through my head. And it's just a process of like finding the right, some people do absolutely need a moving meditation.
Yeah.
They need to meditate while they're walking, while they're doing dishes. Some people meditate while they're cleaning. Like there's not a one size fits all to spirituality, and there's not a one size fits all to manifestation.
Yeah, 100%. And like back to the, and we had, which is why I love us, we had a back and forth about, kind of the topic of like, okay, these rules around what this person had shared and how that felt. And to me, it did make perfect sense, because that's where I feel like I am in energetically, of a place of clearing, of a place of releasing, and a place of shedding. And that is what feels intuitively to me right now at this point in my life, the way to talk to the universe is through me saying, okay, these are the behaviors I know that are no longer working for me, or these are the barriers I have that are not working for me. These are the beliefs that are keeping me stuck in my bullshit. I want help releasing them to allow me to be more open to things that are within my highest good, things that are within, I'm going to use your words from the podcast I just listened to for yours, where they're within my highest plane. because right now I'm in a place where I'm not really sure what my ultimate goal is. And that's okay. So I can focus on what I can focus on. But like what you were saying is, okay, well, if I have this amazing idea or if I get this download or whatever, why should I not be rolling with it? Because just like you said, we're always creating, we're always manifesting in one way or the other. And it's just, it comes back to like, what is our own intuition telling us? If we can learn to honor that, I feel like then that's when manifestation happens quickly, for lack of a better term.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to be blatant that I think some spiritual practices and the way they're taught or presented can be incredibly toxic for different personality types.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times they'll teach manifestation as if you think good thoughts, you'll get good things. If you think bad thoughts, you get bad things.
Yeah.
I think that's fucked up to believe
Yeah.
that you're responsible for terrible stuff happening in your life.
Yeah. 100%.
I do also simultaneously believe that when you're in a low vibration, you will see more low vibe events. And so shifting up and out of that will help you see more things that are happening that are going well. So, but I never think the universe is like out to punish us. And then so people get into this mode with that thought process of, oh, all my thoughts have to be good. And like, and it's a toxic place when you're just trying to override it, because you and I both know you're not believing the bullshit you're telling yourself about how great things are going and how you're going to have that like sports car or whatever when you're like looking at a mountain of debt.
Yeah.
It's so that part of manifestation can be absolutely toxic, and it doesn't account for the part that you were just talking about, which I think is a really important part, a piece of manifestation that we all have to go through, is that release stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, on your point, it's funny because like I'm thinking a lot about manifestation too. I really do think it's just this month, but like manifestation to me is a working relationship. And when we are in that place that you just talked about, because same thing, like I just read the book and it's, but basically same thing, like all bad things that happen to you. Like they said basically in the book, like if you are attacked on the street, you are thinking about it. And it's just like, no, hard stop, like hard stop. People still have autonomy. Bad things happen. There is no reason for that. I'm with you. I do not believe in that bullshit. But also on the other side of that, if I'm a negative person, I'm going to see negative things. We know that logically. We don't even need to think about this on like a metaphysical level. Like
Right.
You're in a bad mood, you're going to look for reasons to stay in your bad mood. But like thinking about that too, like, okay, all I have to do is think good thoughts and good things are going to happen. No, fuck no. We also need to be in alignment with those thoughts. We need to be taking action to make those thoughts a reality. There's so much more to it than simply being, oh, okay, I'm just going to think good things and pay attention to those thoughts. That's important. That's a piece of it, but like it can't stop there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of like books, like even just thinking back to my first experiences with The Secret, right? Of Rhonda Burns. It's a old book. They have a show on it. And there's so many great things that really started the process of changing my life. Like thinking about, okay, so if I start to, I used to dread going to the mailbox. At one point we were in extreme debt. And it was just bills and bills and bills and bills. And in The Secret, they're like, oh, expect checks. And of course, my brain's like, well, I'll try it out, but who the hell's going to send me checks? And when I started to expect checks, I was getting checks for like the stupidest things. Like I worked at a clothing retail company 6 or 7 years prior to this. And I got an audit tax refund. They were audited and it was like $500-$600. Like it was just no reason, something that didn't even have anything to do with me. And I was like, oh shit, we might be onto something. So like we're, in this space of like learning things like The Secret, which have value. But what I've also discovered is that the energy of your person is just as important. And if you're feeling heavy, if you're feeling that heaviness, that heavy energy, that's a good sign of like what needs to shift or go in my life. Like I just think about a client I had. She was contacted me. She was really unhappy in her job. And she was like so distressed. And we talked and we kind of got to a place where she was able to honor, like her soul was asking her to quit her job. And even just putting in her 2 weeks notice, her quality of sleep shifted like whole different direction. So that alone is like, if there's dissonance in you between your soul's energy and what you're doing on a daily basis, then we have to do some reflecting, and we can say, oh, I just want a new job. I just want a new job. But if there's not anything that we're actually changing different, then the thought cannot override your soul's dissonance with what it wants and where you're at. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. 1,000%.
And it was like the minute she did that, she was back in alignment. And the minute you're in alignment, now you're a magnet. And the minute she was in alignment, she started getting calls from all these places who wanted to hire her. And mind you, she was leaving a job after 17 years. Like, it wasn't like she was, was jumping from job to job. Like, this was a big deal. But when you snap in alignment with yourself, and really alignment is just a fancy way of saying when you start listening to what you actually desire, and you look at what's not working in your life, you can start to make space for the things that are in better alignment, and start to make choices and decisions in your life, or move things or get rid of things. And that's just as powerful as sitting there all day and visualizing.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Oh, 100%. And just that, like, this is something I see a lot in my practice. It's the belief. Like, we just hold these beliefs of who we are and what we are capable of, or rather who we are not and what we are not capable of. And these things become such a part of us that we kind of forget that we're still carrying them. And so, same thing, like being able to snap out of that belief system and being able to truly believe that a different reality is available to you. Like, that's something I see. Well, I am a healthy person. People just don't believe that anymore about themselves. They just don't. That's not nothing that we say to each other. And so when I can get somebody to buy into the idea, okay, I'm a healthy person. I'm a healthy person with healthy habits. I'm a healthy person who takes care of their body. Like, it is wild to me how things just start effortlessly shifting when nothing has worked in the past. Nothing has moved in the past, or nothing has stayed in the past. And it's just, and I say just because it's not, it sounds very easy. I understand these aren't easy transitions, as you are aware too. But on the other side of that, they're also incredibly easy transition because they can happen in an instant. It's just allowing yourself to shift into that energy level, into that vibration of, no, this is me. This is how I show up for myself. And truly believing that, it's like, that is when the woo comes back in, I feel like. And yes, we just start inviting all these changes to start happening in our lives.
It is so magical when you start to make those shifts. And so, like, the big thing I really want people to hear today is that there's no right way to make those shifts. But if you are somebody who has, things haven't been working for you lately, it doesn't mean you are incapable of accessing manifesting powers. It doesn't mean you're not actively manifesting. It just means you have to come within and ask yourself the question. I love this question. We bring this question up every freaking time we talk. Like, what do I have to believe about myself to become the person I desire to become?
Yeah.
That is a manifestation. What is my energy doing right now? Like, it's really, so total transparency, I was in a crabby ass mood when I woke up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some hormonal vibes going today. And I was like, I almost skipped my workout class. Like, I was just, do I even have the energy for this? Right. But I'm somebody who moves my body daily, and I've decided that. And so in that heaviness, I had a choice. I could cave to it, and I could just sit around and spend that full hour and a half of my workout class or whatever it was, just being a crabby ass. That would be my low energy, right? That would be what would I be attracting for my day, for my sessions, for my clients, for this call. Or I could push myself a little bit, remind myself who the fuck I am. I'm somebody who shows up for myself even when I don't want to, even when I woke up crabby, even when I have a legitimate biological excuse.
Yeah.
But I'm somebody who shows up for myself. And you know what? I went to that class. I had an absolute blast. I made some connections, and I'm a whole 180. And that was me pushing through that heavy energy, choosing myself over it, and getting back into alignment instead of caving to the chaos.
Yes. And I want to stay on this right now, because I'm sure this is something you see with whenever you're working with somebody. This is something I see all the time when I have this conversation with people. They kind of get this blank stare, and they're like, well, I'm not somebody who does that. I don't take care of myself. I don't whatever the thing may be, they realize, like you said, that dissonance is there, that they are not, that affirmation is not true for them. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that you can't change that right now. Like right in this instance, now you are, because I am a huge believer in, as soon as you start, you are. Like, I think no truer words have ever been said. And the beautiful thing about that is also the scary thing. There's this huge plane of possibilities there, right? And there's the starting line, and there's every single step on the journey, and it's going to look different for every single person and every single body and every single goal and every single path. How amazing, right? But it's just getting somebody to realize that's okay, that's not who you feel you are in this moment, but we can choose differently at any given time in our lives. And that can be our new reality that is available to us if we are willing to step into that, if we are willing to embody that. And it's not that difficult. It's just simply reminding yourself, like you did this morning, no, I am someone who will fill in your blanks here, because it doesn't feel good when we push back on the opposite. I am somebody who doesn't take care of myself. I am somebody who falls to the level of my bullshit. Like, I can't say those things without my body getting a visceral reaction of like, Heather, we don't talk like that at all anymore. So it's being aware that we can consciously choose, like, even like you said in your podcast, I'm saying today, I think it came out today, the March manifestation one. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah, like, like we just got to take the elevator like one floor up. All we have to do is just shift, even if we're not going from, like, say our vibration is at a 1, like, okay, maybe we're not going to shoot to 10, but we can go to 1.5. That's available to us. And it's just constantly choosing to, like, just make those little shifts for ourselves. They add up to such huge, impactful changes over the course of days.
I love that point. And I also think, like, the question is not that you've believed up until now that you're not, right? And that's okay. That's okay. That's the past, right? But the question really becomes, would you like to be somebody who does that? How might it feel to be somebody who honors and respects your body? And then my favorite way of getting around those hard no's, which when I say hard no, I mean like the part of me that's like, I'm not somebody who does that. What if you were?
Right.
What if you were? What
What
if you could
fight for?
become?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for your potential? Are you fighting for your bullshit? Like, that is something I have to ask myself all the time. And it's like, we get an answer. But, and I'm not saying that needs to be everybody's listening's question, because I understand that's kind of a harsh question to ask yourself. But like that, my body viscerally responds to that every single time. And so I encourage anybody listening, like, think of a question you can ask yourself that is going to allow you the same thing. And then you'll know in that moment, oh, no, I'm fighting for my excuses. I am fighting for my past. I am fighting for my limitations. I don't do that. I fight for my potential. I fight for my future. I fight for all the possibilities in front of me. And so it's like, okay. And that's fine. Some days, maybe it looks like a bubble bath. Some days maybe it looks like an exercise class. Some days, whatever. It's just being aware of where we are in that moment.
Questions are a great way to like loosen that up. So like if we think of a question your brain has to respond. So when we're like, why am I like this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're a piece of shit. You're lazy. You never do anything for yourself. Like, why am I like this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we say, what if I could be somebody? Your brain's like, well, you could like it will respond to any question you ask. Giving it a question helps loosen up that energy that says, no, I'm not that person. It challenges it to look in different parts, because we think of like rigidity in thinking. It's so narrow focus on what it's always been because it's walked through that path in the woods 100 times. Why would it go through the part with the needles and prickers that it's got to weed out?
Yes.
That's how rigidity in thinking works. It's the easy path, and our brain is prone to easy options. So when we start to suggest something new, we suggest like, what if it could be? Well, what if you took this path instead? Wondering what that might feel like. And we give your brain a chance to just spread out into possible. That's all we're doing, is we're suggesting possibility instead of scarcity of what we've always done in the path we've always taken. And that's it. And it's that easy. It's just a question, just posing a thought.
I wish I could like put that on a bumper sticker and put that on billboards all over the country, because it really is that easy. It's just pausing, reminding yourself, like, that is another concept that I know is near and dear to both of us. Like, just taking a second to just stop, breathe, like, okay, collect myself. I'm not running away with my monkey mind. I am not I'm just going to pause in this moment, create some space, and then, insert that question, insert whatever. It only takes a week or so of us consciously doing that before that starts to become our new habitual process. The thing is it's different. It's weird. Like you said, we're so used to just doing what we've always done. We're so used to hearing our negative self-talk, which I want to be clear, never goes away, right? Like that's the thing, to get back on the manifestation thing, we're never going to be rid of negative thoughts. We're never going to be rid of negative ideas. That thing is never, we are never going to get to that level, I believe, at least. But we can get to a level where we don't buy into their bullshit. We can get into a level of like, okay, questioning this. Why am I feeling this way? Okay, well, I'm feeling this way because what can I do to feel differently? Like, it's a very, very simple process. We just need to create some awareness in our lives to allow ourselves space to have that process.
And just on your point of negativity, we do have a programmed survival feature that is a negativity bias, and it is meant to help protect us, because if we look for what might be off or wrong about the situation, then we can keep ourselves safe. And this is like, again, back in caveman time, where we can we have to fight or flight or whatever else. So it's normal that we have more negative thoughts than good. It's just a process of getting aware. And the other like really important piece, and I know this is something you do and something that I do, but move your damn body, okay? Your energy, and this is the one thing, when I switched from doing traditional mental health counseling to doing intuitive therapy, this is the piece that I realized. When people have stuck energy, they have stuck thoughts.
Yes.
Energy traps the way you're thinking about something and makes you recycle it. And so sometimes if people are, and I truly believe this is why working out is so effective, because it moves the energy around your body and in your body, and it gives you a chance to formulate new thoughts. Obviously, it does a million other things for your physical body, but just energetically speaking, I can clear someone's energy or help them clear their energy. And suddenly it's like, why was I even having that thought? Because when you have like an energy, it's almost like it creates a helmet.
Yeah.
and you have to take it off, and then you're like, oh, there's a lot of possibility when I take it off. But clearing your energy through moving your body is like the quickest, most effective way. Go for a fucking walk. Go honestly, like even with compulsions or impulsive behaviors, I like this is a silly example, but I was working with a client on her and her ex broke up, and she was like constantly wanting to contact him or look at his social media or whatever the case might be. And so I was like, okay, so before you do that, I want you to stand up, and I literally just want you to shake your entire body from head to toe, and then see if after a minute, if you still want to do that. Moving your body allows the energy to move out so you can formulate new thoughts, new opinions, and you don't feel the pressure and urges to follow the same path you've been following.
Yes. And again, it's just creating the space for a different possibility. And I mean, it's something I hear a lot, a word I hear a lot. And I'm not discounting anybody, who it deals with anxiety, but like anxiety is like almost a buzzword though. Like, well, I'm anxious. I have my anxiety. And it's like, how much of that anxiety could be literally shaken out of your body because it's pent up energy. Like, we don't put children in a room and just expect them to sit there. Like, we know eventually they're going to boil over. Well, we forget that we're the same, right? Like, we're the same. And we put ourselves in rooms literally all day. And then we wonder why we continue to quote unquote boil over. It's the same thing. Like, it is really easy to like just run away with those things because, like you said, we're just recycling that same thought, and moving allows us to just shift out of that state. Now, am I saying that is like the end all be all from everybody who suffers from anxiety? No, absolutely not. But I am saying, if you're not moving as a means to possibly deal with that, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, like a huge disservice. And so it's just reminding ourselves like, okay, well, what can I do to, again, shift my energy, shift myself out of this way of thinking? And, you and I both know this is rooted in biology. This is rooted. You can open any health journal, any wellness journal. There's tons of research backing this up, of just getting people to break up their days, getting people to have bursts of movements throughout their days, because it allows them to think better, to, have more productive work days. Like, there's so many good benefits behind this, physically as well as energetically.
Yeah. And when you're moving that energy around, what you're doing is you're releasing, which is the key we were just talking about. As a piece of manifestation, you're releasing the stagnant energy. You're moving it around to create space to receive better things for yourself. You're moving that elevator floor up a level. Like, you're in the elevator, you're going up. So it's all relevant, and it doesn't take much to move your body to be able to access this energy. And you literally can sit in a chair and just wiggle a little. It will help. Sometimes I'll even I'm a big EFT tapper. I don't do it as often as I used to, but I still love it. And it's a very systematic process. But I also just like to tune into my body and see, like, oh, okay, my heart feels like it's a little heavy today. So I'll just sit and kind of tap on that space in my heart, and that moves the energy too. So you can also Google, YouTube, EFT tapping, look at that if that interests you, but you don't have to be doing an Olympic sport every morning. You can do small things at your desk throughout the day if you feel like, man, and it's awareness. Again, that piece is awareness. When you start to recognize, would I like to continue thinking these thoughts? Would I like to continue feeling like shit today? What is it that I can do in this very moment to shift this around, to move my energy, to release this energy, to get in a better space? And again, you might have to find a different way to do it. Like, the whole purpose of this podcast is to listen to the thoughts and suggestions and come back within and saying, ooh, I really like that. I'm really drawn to that idea. That EFT tapping sounds really good to me. Or moving my body, or just, shaking a little bit throughout the day, or going for a walk every day, or doing, the full weightlifting feels really good to me. If you're called to something, pay attention to it. But, that whole idea is that there are no rules to this, but releasing is just as helpful in manifesting as sitting there and saying, ooh, I'm this, I'm that, I have this, I have that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, and again, this is just my belief, this is just my view. I'm not saying this is everybody, but like, I want to view my manifestation process as like a home, right? I need to put it on a solid foundation. And so when I'm not releasing something, basically what I'm doing is painting walls that might have cracks in them, which isn't going to get me far. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah,
right?
That's a good visual.
And so going back to movement, and, I'll say health, I'll say my nutrition, I will say sleep, like those type of things that we don't traditionally think about in the manifestation process. Well, guess what? They're our foundation, right? Like, if I'm asking for all of these wonderful, wonderful things in my life, which we all should be, and we all deserve, and we are all capable of having, I want to also show the universe, like, I respect these things because I respect my body. Like, that's a piece of manifestation to me. And that does not mean, like, please don't misconstrue that as me saying, like, I'm only going to eat clean, organic, gluten free. Like, no, none of that bullshit. I'm saying I respect my body, right? And that's going to look different for everybody in every different body. But it's like figuring out, what is that foundational piece? Where may there be cracks in our proverbial foundation that possibly need to be addressed before we can start painting our walls, really, in judging the place up, for lack of a better term?
Well, and that even comes right back down to coming within.
Yes.
Coming within. I think we spend too much time in the external. I had a call today, and the person I was speaking to was like talking about a series of events and what this person was thinking and what that person might have been thinking. And, it was a whole thing. And I was like, okay, but what's your narrative right now? Like, what have you absorbed from that scenario? And it's just crazy. We don't spend a lot of time coming in and constructing our internal world, and like making sure the floors are clean and like doing the maintenance on just coming back within. We spend so much of our time externally attending to everything, everyone, making assumptions, and then our energy actually gets locked into the external when we spend too much time away from our internal space. So there's a great book, Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza. I should get paid for the amount of times I promote this damn thing. But one of the things he talks about is energetic webs. When our best defense of building ourselves is being able to not only be in the external world and be part of it, absolutely, you can't just like be a shut-in, but taking intentional time to come back in and saying, okay, does this work for me? How does this feel for me? Does this feel good for me? Okay, what would I like to happen here? What would I like to be in this scenario? How would I like to act? Oh, I want to feel more confident. Where do I feel confidence in my body? And it's really a process of just getting back into your person when our lives get busy and chaotic. Our state of being is so essential to manifesting. Like, it just is, or at least that's my belief. Again, that might not resonate for people. But our energy levels, and when I say energy, I want people to think of like, people like, oh, high vibration. What does that even mean? Good mood, bad mood. That's how you can see it. Emotional state. That's how you can see it. If you're going through your day and you feel heavy, low, kind of sad, kind of lost, that's a low vibration. Not a big worry, because we know we can always take the elevator up. We can find something to do. We could say, I'm wondering what's showing up that's not working in my life. We can come back within, create awareness. But if you're in that low mood every day and that's your baseline is a low vibration, and you're in that energy, probably similar thoughts that don't feel super great, that you're not loving. And you have to really start asking yourself the question of, what do I need to release? What things aren't quite working, and how might they work better for me? We don't ask ourselves that stuff enough.
No. And it keeps, I mean, you're 100% right. We keep our focus way too much on the external, and like, bringing it back to manifesting, we can't manifest things for other people. Like, and we know this, we can't change other people. We can't do that. All we can do is manifest things for ourselves. But when we are so worried about our perception, or what somebody's thinking about us, or what somebody said about us, or yada, 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 we are just staying outside of ourselves, which we have no control over. We have no way to, not saying that we can't shift the way people perceive us, but how do we do that? Well, we do that by how we shift the way we perceive ourselves. How we do that by shifting the way we act in our own lives. And so it all comes back to, like you said, that going internally, which I think, well, I know actually, when we allow ourselves to do that, going back to those anxious thoughts or depressive thoughts, when we shift internally, we can start to realize like, oh, okay, well, internally where I am right now, like, this is actually what I know. And everything else is what I'm assuming and I am making up in my mind. Like, it allows us just such a peace and such clarity, which, that's a place where we can start to manifest from. We can't manifest from an anxious, worried, angry state. We need to be in that place of like peace and clarity and saying, okay, this is what I know right now. This is where I would like to be. What can I do to make this happen?
And it's just one small move, whether that's just implementing a new thought or a new belief of like, okay, so what if I was somebody who was more confident? Or what if I felt a little better every day? I don't have to feel happy. I don't have to be joyful. I don't have to be that. But what if every day I felt a little more calm, or a little more centered, or I listened to my soul a little bit more? What if I trusted myself to make decisions? We can make this so easy. That's the thing, is like, it doesn't have to be hard. We're not broken. We don't need to fix ourselves. We just have to begin to make different suggestions. And that's how easy it can be, is that you can go through, you can make a vision board, you can write daily. I love that. That's a way I treat my brain, to remind it, no, this is what we're doing. But you absolutely don't have to. When you're having a good day, it just feels like a good day. When you're having a good day, you're like a magnet. And like, at the end of the day, you at your best, and I said this in my last podcast, but I'm going to repeat it because it just keeps like resonating for me and for people I'm working with. But you at your best, you're a magnet for everything you desire. You at your highest, you're a magnet for the right people, the right places, the right experiences. Everything aligns on when you're in a good mood. So finding a good mood, whatever that looks like, maybe that's all it is. Finding a little bit better of a mood, moving your body to release some of that energy, making different questions, suggestions, releasing the things, and coming back and reflecting on the things that are working and not working.
And it's internal, it just we both keep coming back to this place. Like it starts internally. What do I need? What would this look like? And, I say it all the time. Maybe it's manifesting. Maybe she worked her ass off for it. I don't know. I believe in both. Asking those questions allows you to fill in the work. And so you're dancing with the universe. You're not just asking the universe to do the heavy lifting for you. You are saying, look this is what I am willing to do. Like we want to match that vibration of our highest possibility. And so we can do that by asking all those questions that you just laid out. What did this look like? What would this look like? What would I have to feel like? What would I have to do? And then we start getting those answers. And it's just, yes, like that's when I believe things get really, really exciting in our lives.
Yeah. And you have to find the way that resonates with you, the way that works with you. If you find a technique and you're like, God, I love this technique, this works for me, just continue to pay attention to the moment it may not be the fit for you anymore. I think that's funny because we grow out of our coping skills and we grow out of our things. In some seasons of our life, certain things resonate more than others. And so if you're hearing nothing else from this podcast, listen to yourself. That's it. Create awareness. Is this getting me? Is this thought getting me to where I want to go? Create awareness, come back within, and just listen. See what your soul has to say. Because when I think of depression, I think of suppression. I think something isn't being said. Something isn't being talked about. Something is, not being moved. It's a very stuck energy. So I think of how are we going to vocalize the things that are, needed. But it's just a process of coming back within and asking yourself those questions, because that at the end of the day, the universe fucking loves supporting you. It just does. Like, I know a lot of people have different viewpoints and stuff, but I just think the universe is love and it just wants to help you. It wants to be invited in. It wants you to see your power. It wants to be a co-creator. It wants to have like a relay race where it hands you the baton and then you hand it back. It wants that for you. It wants you to see your power and step up into your highest and best good. Like the universe is on your side. It's just you remembering. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely 1,000, 1,000,000%. And what you just said, it's there to support you, which means you can't fuck up. Like I truly believe that you can't fuck it up. There is no right or wrong. Like if you get the best idea and it's during a middle of a period, it's an eclipse, you shouldn't be manifesting right now. Guess what? You got that idea for a reason. You got that idea for a reason. Do what your soul is telling you to do with it. You will be supported. Like I believe that with every fiber of my being.
I was just thinking of like Back to the Future, and when he's like, where we're going, we don't need roads. And I'm just thinking like in manifestation, we don't need rules. Like your soul is the rule. Your soul makes the final, has the final say in what works for you and what gets to work for you and what you feel called to do in that moment. So listen in. And yeah, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up? This was so invigorating. I love this.
No, I mean, no, I put a pin in it, done.
Awesome. So where can people connect with you?
My website is just Heather Maio, Heather MAIO.com, or on Instagram, same thing, Heather.Maio.
So last time Heather did not have a proper Instagram.
I got it.
So
back.
she officially is back and better than ever.
Right.
So make sure you check her stuff out. She has also is the host of the Magic Mindset podcast. You guys are definitely going to want to listen, and incredible content on there as well. You can catch me, NicoleEaton.com, book a intuitive therapy session with me right on there. I also want to just make an announcement that we have officially opened Clarity Connects speaker applications. If you're not sure what Clarity Connects is, it's a motivational speaking event where we have people come from all over the world sometimes to speak about their experiences, their journey, and share with our audience. We have so much fun. If you are a professional speaker, this is for you. If you're somebody who just has one hell of a story, if learned a lot of lessons from it, we would love for you to apply as well. So make sure that is right on my website. You can go to my front page and click right on that. And follow me on Instagram as well, NicoleEaton.xo. But this was fabulous. I love our conversations, and I'm so grateful that you always are willing to jump in with me.
Every time you ask, I'm going to say yes.
Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one session with me or purchase my trainings at NicoleEaton.com. Join the Rock Your Soul Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at NicoleEaton.xo. And if you loved this podcast, don't forget to share it. Thank you.